Jody is an experiential. This is a group seeking inner growth through direct experience. Experientials aren't in one place much. This is the try-anything-once crowd, and all that activity takes goods and services. Their hobbies are hands-on, and their possessions are simple, but not always simply priced.
They're a bunch of fucking yuppies, basically. That's what they are. Planescape is based not on a fight between good and evil, like most other RPGs. It's based on a quest for knowledge. And that makes things much more complicated, but how do we know anything? How does the machine of our mind input data? Through our senses. We know things because we see them, taste them, touch them, smell them, and hear them. That's how we learn things. It's the very essence of information. This input is where we know everything, according to the sensates. We learn by experiencing things. If you deny yourself new experiences or don't actively seek them out at all times, who knows what you're going to be missing out? You won't have the full picture in order to analyze the universe. There's an old parable about 6 blind men and an elephant. Each of the blind men is trying to feel the elephant to find out what it is, and each of them grab a different part. One of them grabs the tail and says it feels like a rope, and another one grabs the trunk and says it feels like a tree branch, and another one grabs the leg and says it feels like a pillar. But all of them are wrong. That isn't what the elephant is at all. They can't know what it is without increasing their senses, without getting a better sense of what the thing is, without looking at it. The sensates believe that the quickest path to enlightenment is by constant sensory experience of everything in the universe. And they think that the other factions that don't try to do this are just as blind and foolish as those men trying to find out what an elephant is without being able to see it, without being able to sense the universe and feel it in your body. You're not going to be able to know anything. The Society of Sensation, to give it its full name, is the most artistic of all of the factions. They love art, music, dance, theater, all of these artistic and entertainment expressions of humankind. Their base is called the Civic Fest Hall. It's one of the most dominating features in the landscape of Sigil and is one of the greatest storehouses of knowledge in the planes. It has countless sensory experiences recorded in physical form in a place called the Sensorium, where people can literally relive all of the senses and feelings and thoughts of someone that someone in another life has lived. So you can feel their senses going through your body. This is a very important part of the game, Planescape Torment. And a big part of it is spent in the Sensorium, just drinking in all of the knowledge, all of the senses that these people have. Sensates are easily the most powerful faction in Sigil. Sigil tends to be a rather confusing, frightening, jumbled mess of a place. A city nicknamed the Cage can produce anger, fear, and tension of all kinds, and that can explode in volcanic fury. And the Sensates are in a unique position because they have a stranglehold over Sigil's entertainment world to exploit that need for release and relaxation to gain converts and influence in the city. A majority of the pubs, dance halls, theater organizations, dancing troupes, everything that has to do with art and entertainment tends to be controlled, or at least partly controlled, by the Society of Sensation. And it may not seem all that much at first, but that's a significant act of power. And no, it's not military force, but this ability to control the world of entertainment is enormously powerful in the city. They're one of the most welcoming of factions, inviting all people of all races, classes, alignments, or from whatever plane they happen to be from. The only thing they need to join is 5 deep experiences that they have to give and record in the Sensorium, and after that, you're in. The enticing art, the lack of barriers to entry, the playing on emotion, the amazing entertainment possibilities, and the general tolerance and openness for everything new and different combine to make the Sensates one of the most powerful factions in the city. Boasting a 40,000 strong membership, a natural articulacy born of a performer's lifestyle, and their desire to end conflict in favor of diplomatic resolution, all make them one of the most dominating and influential forces in Sigil's life. The true member of the Society of Sensation will attempt to imbibe all of the richness life has to offer, to push his senses to their absolute limit, to smell every rose in the multiverse, to taste every wine imaginable, to hear music that is only played in the astral plane, to listen to a speech made by a pit fiend to his horrible troopers in hell, to see everything there is to see, to feel every sensation imaginable. Now, it's ultimately impossible and pointless to try to experience every single thing in the universe. The sensates know you can't logically do that. It's not possible. However, they do believe that depth and richness of experience can lead to unlocking some hidden truths about the galaxy. There's sort of a cosmic trick you can play on it and learn the hidden dark, the hidden meaning of things through the intense richness and vastness of your own experience. You can't experience everything, but the more you know, the more you'll be able to see the big picture about the universe, according to the sensates. The sensates are oft derided by other groups as being nothing more than pathetic hedonists who engage in constant orgies, drunkenness, and frivolous merriment in order to slake their debauched thirsts.
Surgery in an opera? How wonderfully decadent. And just as I was beginning to lose interest. Jambi, the chocolate icing. Oh my, yes.
Libertines abound in the society, but they never really advance too far. That isn't the ultimate meaning of the society. That's just a very ground level, very base look at what the sensates actually do. In order to be a real member of the Society of Sensation, you have to explore a vast range of feelings, emotions, and sensations. As they put it in a book, it's beyond what the gut or the loin can give you. It's not just about the physical desires that you're slaking. It's about the depth of the experience and how much you can know about the universe. Sensates are a mixture of Epicureanism and ancient Greek philosophy stressing knowledge and pleasure as being the most important things in life, and modern empiricism, which states that we should only know things based on what we sense and experience. Only things in the real world, not sort of ideas that were concocted purely in the mind without any input from reality. It ultimately isn't really that complicated compared to some of the other factions, mostly because the sensates are pretty much taken for granted today in modern life. This is one of the rare factions that is actually emulated by modern society. Most everyone nowadays will tell you in the post-Reagan years that it's your ultimate goal in life to see everything, see the world, you only live once, experience life's joys, do this, drink that, visit here, go to this place, see this site, do all of these things. That's pretty much what it is at its heart. It's the modern yuppie-ish world that we know today, of trying to live life to the fullest, self-actualization, know yourself, see for yourself, experience the world, know things.
Choose life, choose a job, choose a career, choose a family, choose a fucking big television, choose washing machines, cars, compact displays and electrical tin openers.
Oh, come on, fuck you. Choose this, asshole. Jesus, don't tell me to choose life. Some of the positives of the sensates is that they make natural adventurers. They're probably like bards in the sense that their lives are sort of based around wandering around, seeing new things, finding new things, and knowing new things. They're pretty much at the heart of everything that you want to do as an adventurer. You want to explore, you want to discover things, you want to find new places, etc., the whole Star Trek thing. And there's never any need to coax a sensate to do anything. They say in the book that sure is the response that a sensate would give to virtually any proposition. Do you want to do this? Absolutely. Do you want to do that? Yes, I do. Do you want to go here? Yes, absolutely. There are people that really want to go out and see the world, know things, experience things. That's why they make fantastic adventurers. They're also very well traveled and know a heck of a lot about the universe, and can make some truly impressive lore checks about a lot of things. They also have a sort of semi-bardic knowledge, even if they're not a bard, if they're a sensate. They know the world and can experience things and know so much that they have so much information to share. Now, as for the negatives, the sensates can occasionally be a bit too forward, a bit too exploratory, and can occasionally allow their feelings to overwhelm their rationality, and can potentially get the party in trouble for that. You don't want to do absolutely everything, especially in a dangerous place somewhere out in the plains. It may lead you or your friends into serious trouble if you try to do that. They're mostly based on their feelings rather than thoughts. They can occasionally make irrational choices. And at least to me, I think the sensates can be a little bit too obnoxious, extremely pretentious, annoying with art and music and life and joy and theater. I never really got along with theater kids in school, so I think that that's kind of annoying, you know. They're extremely pretentious in their love of art and music and so forth. But hey, that's just a minor prejudice on my part. Most people are going to get along with fine because they're extroverted, friendly, and fun. So unless you're not, like, well, I am not, they're going to be fine getting along with anyone. In fact, they can be very useful because they can get along with all different kinds of people without really getting to know them very much. They're just that kind of friendly, outgoing kind of person. In the relationship to other factions, the Sensates are amazing peacemakers. They're not like the Order and Chaos factions that are constantly smashing into one another. And they take their role as trying to be neutral very seriously. They're not the most neutral faction. They're not the UN faction, which I'll get to in another video, but the Sensates do see themselves as peacemakers, as trying to bring people together through art, music, and entertainment, and that is fantastic, and will make them generally liked by most people, or at the very least not hated. They're not going to get seriously involved in factional warfare, usually, at least not beyond the most basic level. They don't really like that sort of thing, and they stand against it. They want people in Sigil to be relaxed, calm, fun, and enjoying themselves. And the other factions, even if they don't necessarily agree with the Sensates, they will generally agree that it's a good idea to keep people relaxed and not trying to kill one another at any time. Some of the Order-based people don't like the extreme sense of inner focus that a lot of the Sensates have. They're extroverted, but ultimately they're concerned with pleasure for themselves. They don't want to hurt anyone else, but they want to give themselves the maximum amount of pleasure possible. So they could get into kind of a conflict with others based on that, but most of the time they're going to be in the middle, peacemakers, the establishment. They're the most powerful faction in the city. They're very strong. They know a lot. They know a lot of people. And they're just going to try to keep people working together. I think that most of the Sensates couldn't get along well with any of the Harmonium, or the Order Triumvirate, or the Anarchists, or the Chaositechs. They couldn't get along well with any of those groups, ultimately, because the Sensates would probably agree with the Beatles and the song Revolution. You know, you say you want to go about quoting Chairman Mao, but that's not going to get you laid anyhow. You know, that's sort of what the Sensates believe. They're much more focused on their own personal desires rather than political things. And they try to keep everyone happy so that everyone can move along with their lives and avoid this kind of politicized conflict. The groups the Sensates would most likely be opposed to are the Bleak Cabal and the Dustmen. Both of those groups are very thought-oriented rather than feeling-oriented. The Bleakers spend most of their times in their heads, and the Dustmen reject this world as empty and meaningless, and believe that death ultimately is the goal. Both of those people did not, in the words of Trainspotting, choose life. They've rejected life for something else, either the personal demons banging around in their heads, or the idea that death itself is a good thing. So that's very, very much anathema to the Sensates, who believe that life is worth living. And not only is it worth living, it's worth living to the absolute fullest, and life is wonderful, and we should experience everything. Those other two groups strongly reject that life has a real strong meaning or purpose behind it, and will usually lead to conflict with the Sensates. So the Sensates really have an extraordinary amount of power because they control so much of relaxation. That's an interesting way to power, to control not violence or anger or superstitiously guarding knowledge, but to control people through the ability to cause joy, the ability to cause laughter, the ability to cause happiness in people, rather than the ability to cause fear and hatred. And that's very unique and really cool. Ultimately, if I were to reject my Bleak Cabal, nihilism, and anger for a moment, I do have to mention that the Sensates are a truly exciting and great faction to play as. They're adventurous, they're extroverted, they're fun, they have all sorts of wonderful talents, they have a lot of knowledge about the planes, and ultimately, their faction is the most Planescape of all of the factions in a way, because Planescape, I firmly believe, is based on knowledge, on gathering information and wisdom, on learning, rather than about good fighting evil, which makes it so unique. And the entire raison d'etre of being a Sensate is to learn things, to know things, and to get out there into the world to learn as much as you possibly can. So they're really a fantastic group to play as, even if I do still have some suspicion that they're all a bunch of filthy hedonists.
Philosophy, poetry, music, and study. That is how we spend our time, trying to expand our minds and unlock our full potential in the service of humankind.
What a pair of losers.